In the middle of a raging Bering Sea with 70 to 90 miles per hour winds and 40 to 50-foot waves, a squid fishing boat tossed violently in a thick blizzard. Just below the icy black water, a thermal camera captured a school of Humboldt and Alaskan squid, huddled together in a giant cloud moving with the cold current. When the net was pulled up, the deck was immediately flooded with tons of fresh squid with long bodies, big eyes, and tentacles still wriggling vigorously under the cold white light. Just one haul can yield 20,000 to 30,000 pounds, and in a day this can reach 100,000 to 200,000 pounds, the equivalent of the load of many industrial trucks. The controversial question arises as this huge catch raises questions about whether the fishing industry is maintaining the world's supply or depleting the oceans faster than predicted. Could a species that reproduces as quickly as a squid sustain a rate of consumption that it's accelerating faster than any biological cycle the ocean can support? In the icy Bering Sea, squid fishing boats 70 to 150 feet long use 1,000 to 3,000 horsepower engines to drag tons of nets through the dense dark water. The midwater trawl technique opens a funnel-shaped net with a mouth up to 30 to 40 meters wide, almost as large as a football field, and is pulled suspended in the middle of the water column, where schools of squid often congregate in giant clumps. The biggest challenge is identifying the cloud zone, where temperatures are only 28 to 35 degrees Fahrenheit, and where schools of squid move in unpredictable, invisible cold bands. Risks were always present, as nets weighing 10 to 20 tons could slam into the deck at any moment, while the ice on the deck was 2 to 4 inches thick, and a sailor only needed to slip one step to be caught in the operating equipment. A ship can make 8 to 12 catches a day, each lasting 1 to 3 hours. And during peak season, many captains must chase schools of squid for dozens of hours at a time, barely catching a wink of sleep. The controversy comes as the Alaska seafood industry continues to accept life and death risks to harvest a species that is worth much less than king crab, as the sheer scale of squid production generates billions of dollars in annual revenue for the entire supply chain. As soon as the net is pulled up, all the fresh squid is transferred directly to a specialized pressure pump system, where the huge stream of seafood is sucked directly from the deck into tanks maintained at a temperature of approximately 0 degrees Celsius to preserve the meat structure and original freshness. At the sorting area, each squid is divided into 1 to 2 pound groups, 3 to 5 pound groups for mass consumption, and 6 to 10 pound jumbo groups for high-end markets, all inspected by an AI camera system capable of recognizing cuts, integrity, and brightness of muscle tissue. Qualified individuals continue through a high-pressure washing line where nozzles continuously remove ink, sand, stones, and the smallest impurities before entering the deep processing stage. In coastal Alaska plants, especially during peak season, the entire system operates non-stop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, processing what can be 300 to 500 tons of raw material in a single day. Inside cold rooms maintained at 0 to 4 degrees Celsius, hundreds of workers must work continuously for 12 hours at high speed to keep up with the rhythm of the automated assembly line running at maximum capacity. The increased processing raises questions about whether this industrial system is meeting global food demand or is inadvertently creating fishing pressure beyond what the oceans can sustain in the long term. AI technology, which is seen as a solution to optimize resources, has also been controversial, with many concerned that its ability to speed up production could push the rate of consumption faster than any natural recovery cycle of the squid population. Inside the deep processing area, the cleaned squid body is fed directly into a high-power cutting system, where high-speed rotating blades create squid rings with precise thickness down to the millimeter to meet the specific standards of each market from Japan to Europe and North America. The entire process is continuous as mantle, arms, and tentacles are separated by automated dividers, then pass through inspection conveyor belts where cold light and optical sensors re-evaluate the uniformity of the meat structure. A large-scale factory can produce 10 to 20 million squid rings per day, equivalent to enough food to supply hundreds of supermarkets and restaurant chains across 5 continents. The value of a 40-foot container of frozen squid rings typically ranges from $150,000 to over $200,000, turning what was once a local ingredient into a more globalized commodity than many traditional seafoods. From small coastal ports in Alaska, containers of frozen squid are loaded onto specialized transport ships, where refrigeration systems maintain temperatures at minus 20 degrees Celsius throughout the 20 to 35-day journey before arriving at major markets such as the United States, Japan, South Korea, and Spain. Although squid is not a high-value commodity like king crab or bluefin tuna, the huge volume of hundreds of thousands of tons traded each year has helped the industry generate between $700 and $900 million in revenue in Alaska alone, contributing significantly to the global multi-billion-dollar supply chain. Each country consumes squid differently, with the United States importing between 350 and 400,000 tons per year, while Japan favors high whiteness and thick textured products, and Europe buys heavily in pre-cut and pre-fried products for distribution to restaurant chains. This trade chain constantly faces great risks when just a major storm in Alaska, a prolonged freeze, or an incident at the container yards can delay tens of thousands of tons of squid, causing economic losses of up to millions of dollars. Changing ocean temperatures are causing squid to travel 50 to 100 nautical miles farther than in previous seasons, driving up fuel costs and forcing many vessels to expand their fishing range into deeper, darker, and more dangerous waters. Compared to king crab with its slow growth rate, or salmon with its fixed migration cycle, squid is a fast reproducing but most volatile species, making the industry more vulnerable to small environmental changes than any other commercial seafood. The controversial question is why such a prolific breeder has years when it almost disappears from the ocean, and whether humans are inadvertently pushing the squid industry down the same path of collapse that the cod industry went through in the 1990s, when demand outstripped natural regeneration. Squid has long been one of the world's most consumed protein sources, with humans eating more than 3.5 million tons each year, much of which is processed into deep-fried squid rings or flash-frozen products, feeding the huge demand of global restaurant chains and supermarkets.
processing.
The nutritional value of squid, including its high vitamin B12, selenium, and omega-3 content, and low-fat content, makes it a preferred choice in many modern diets, thereby pushing demand up by 15 to 20% per year in many regions. Yet, the rate of consumption is outpacing any biological cycles the ocean can provide, especially as climate change causes squid to shift their breeding grounds, alter their migration timing, and in some fishing seasons, completely disappear from what were once considered the richest waters. The squid-dependent seafood industry is facing the risk of having to expand its fishing range to deeper and more remote areas, where weather risks, fuel costs, and dangers to crews increase beyond traditional safety thresholds. Some scientists worry that the squid's rapid regeneration ability is making humanity complacent, when in fact, many squid species have experienced local declines of 30 to 50% in just a decade. The ultimate question for the industry as a whole is whether the ocean is nurturing a sustainable food source for the future or is in the early stages of a cycle of decline that humans will only realize when it is too late to adjust the pace of exploitation. If you want to continue exploring the life and death journeys amid storms, billion-dollar industrial chains, and ecological stories that are shaping the future of the ocean, don't forget to subscribe to the Discover channel, because the ocean still has countless untold secrets.